So, Minister, the PDD review was announced last January, and I certainly have heard from a bunch of stakeholders who are a little unsure about what the review is going to look like. You've committed a reasonable amount of dollars to that, and I'm looking to get a bit of a sense from your perspective on the scope. As it appears, there's no clear scope, timelines, the cost. I understand what you've committed, but can you shed some light on what the scope of the review is going to look like, and how you intend to be engaging families on the review?
Thank you, member. As you indicated, we announced that on 19th of January this year, and at the time we announced it, we identified three broad areas that we have heard concerns. There was one, access, other one was family engagement, and third one was the outcome for those who are receiving services from this program. But at the same time, over the period of last almost 3 years, what I have learned from this community, that nothing about us without us. So we didn't clearly identify the scope. Rather, we said and we committed that we will work with the community to identify the scope, what they see as issues, that what we will include in the scope of this review.
Right, and have you determined what the scope is going to be, or how long?
Since then, I have been going around. I have met many organizations, stakeholders, self-advocates, individuals, and we have also sent out a survey that is open till 18th of this month. And once we have the survey results back, we will analyze that feedback, and then we will share the scope of this review.
So the survey closes in 2 days, Minister?
Yes.
What is the anticipated timeline post-survey that it's going to take you to be able to announce the scope?
I think we are looking at the responses, and we are gathering the feedback. That was not the only mechanism that we gathered feedback. Like, we have direct email as well. People could send email. So we will make sure that we get the scope out as soon as practicable.
Okay, so the scope is going to be announced as soon as practical. When do you what's a reasonable timeline for the review to be completed then? When will the entire review be wrapped up? Do you have any goals or targets around this particular issue?
I think certainly we want to move as quickly as we can on this review, and as we have done in the past 3 months, we reached out a lot of stakeholders and individual and advocates. So our desire is to complete that as soon as possible, but at the same time, the survey will be much community driven as well. So we want to take time necessary to get this right as well, so that Albertans who want to participate in this review process, who have vested interest in the outcome of this review, they have the time to meaningfully participate and engage in the process as well.
Okay, so as soon as possible or practical, it's been since January. There are a number of areas where the ministry is not acting quickly, particularly around the disabilities advocate. I've heard from a bunch of stakeholders that are concerned that we're only outside, that we're a year away from an election, and that this review may or may not be completed prior to the next general election. Can you provide stakeholders any form of assurances that your department will have this task completed?
We have every intention of completing this review before that, rather well before that. But at the same time, PDD is a very complex program which provides from few hours of respite to 24/7 intensive home-based supports and everything in between. Disabilities varies, individuals' goal vary. There are 12,000 individuals on this program. It is important that we allow the community sufficient time and various diverse means to participate meaningfully. So we will work with the community to get this.
So speaking of meaningful participation, then how do the cognitively impaired take a survey like the one that's online, or how are you getting input from actual clients?
I think we will work with organizations who work with these individuals for them to facilitate their participation. We will work with advocates, we will work with organizations, we will work with representative groups like ACDS, Inclusion Alberta, Self-Advocacy Foundation.
Do you think having a disability advocate already appointed would have helped with that process?
Disability advocate will have the role that is set out in the legislation, and I'm very proud of my government work on this, that we will be the first government and first province to have this advocate office set up. So we also reached out to community on that how they want this advocate to work for them, and we had a survey that was out for 3 weeks or so, and we got 1,400 responses to that survey, which goes to show that community wants to participate in these decisions, and this is important for us that we work with them and allow them opportunities for meaningful participation.